afternoon, Chaos. This is Kelatos here, your friendly Legions leader, with another roster review. This time for fellow Legions member Pshadow. Now, Pshadow has been here for a while and asked me to do a little review here, kind of help him out, putting some teams together for the Sith raid, and kind of just overall advice. Now, I'm going to try something a little different here that I've not done before. And instead of going through individual groups and how to mod them, I am just going to refer you to certain videos in the Empire of Chaos channel. So check out those tags as they come up. Look at those cards, give them a click, and check out where you need to go, or check out kind of the videos with strategy and mods for those different groups. So check them out when they pop up, and you'll kind of see what the idea is for these different groups and how to put them together / mod them. Now, first of all, at first glance, you have a ton of Gear 12, which is awesome for the Sith raid, because Heroic requires Gear 12, or highly recommends Gear 12. How about that? And you got a fair number of Gear 11 characters getting ready to make that leap up to gold status. So we've definitely got a lot of raw material here to work with, which is super exciting to do. So throughout doing my research, I noticed that you have a lot of light side, specifically rebels, which is not a bad thing. Unfortunately, rebels have not kind of risen to the top as far as usefulness in the Sith raid. So we're going to look at some other groups, of which you have 3 or 4 out of 5 already at Gear 12. So I will kind of tell you where you might need a Zeta or 2, as well as recommend different groups to put together. So we'll start with teams that I think could be useful in Phase 1 of the Sith raid. And that team that everybody has heard about, I'm sure, if you've done any research whatsoever, is a Jedi Training Rey group. Now, Jedi Training Rey is the go-to character for this raid, which personally I think is stupid. That EA kind of made the most difficult character to get, the most useful in this raid. It is what it is. I may not be a fan, but enough of that. So Jedi Training Rey, what groups or who would you put around her? Jedi Training Rey is pretty much always going to be followed by her trusty droid BB-8, as well as BB-8's big brother, or maybe grandfather, R2-D2. You're going to want R2 here, who you've already got both Zetas on, which is awesome. And with the 3 of them, with what you have, I would recommend Resistance Trooper and Scavenger Rey. Scavenger Rey doesn't need her Zeta by any stretch of the imagination, but those are the 5 I would put together. I noticed you already have Rey's leader Zeta, which is nice, and her insight, which I don't know too much about, but it can't be bad, right? And I've not heard a ton about Virtuous Protector, though it can't hurt also. It looks like it adds turn meter for Rey, so that's always a good thing since you want her as fast as possible. Though you will definitely want to get BB-8's Zeta roll with the punches. This Zeta allows a BB-8 to call another resistance ally when BB-8 attacks out of turn. So if BB-8 ever counters, or if you use Rey's ability to call his assist, I believe. Yes, if you use Defiant Slash to call BB-8, that counts as outside of BB-8's turn, so we will then call another resistance ally to attack. It just is a beautiful thing to see if it's on your team, so you definitely want to get that Zeta there. Now, another Phase 1 group that I've kind of gotten a little bit of flack for, but I'm still going to keep plugging it because I do think it can work, is the Jawas. The Jawas, now, I've actually tweaked my strategy a little bit to go leaderless with the Jawas. But here's the first tag you're going to see with a link to a video about strategy and modding recommendations for these guys. But these 5 Jawas, I think, make a great group. And I think they can do 1, maybe even 2% damage in the Heroic Sith raid. Hopefully somebody gives it a try and really uses the strategy I put together to try and do damage with them. Now, a third group, which will be at the very bottom end of the priority list, that could possibly be useful, is a Scoundrel group. And here, I've used Scoundrels Boba Fett, Captain Han Solo, Zam Wessel, Mob Enforcer. I know, hold on to your shorts like it's crazy, but I definitely have used him in there, as well as Greedo. If you run out of stuff to gear and you want to look at those guys, feel free, go on ahead. I've not had near as much success with them as I had with the Jawas, but you know, it is an option, especially with the Bounty Hunters having an upcoming rework. So check it out, see what you think. Now into Phase 2. Phase 2 has got some interesting choices, and I think you have a good start to 3 different groups for this phase. The first group will be a Sith/Empire group led by Darth Vader. Now Darth Vader, his key is going to be his Inspiring Through Fear Leader Zeta, which will reduce Scion's turn meter whenever an Empire or Sith ally attacks. Paired with Darth Vader will be Darth Sidious, who would probably work better with a Zeta, but I think he'll still be able to stack his dots on the adds without it. With them, you will also want to put Emperor Palpatine in your group, who you don't really need a Zeta on. His Crackling Doom is not that big of a deal. It could make him survive maybe 1 more hit from Scion, so I wouldn't really worry about it too much. This group is definitely going to need a tank, which I would recommend Sith Trooper for your tank. I know he takes a lot to gear, but this is really the first one. The Sith Trooper would be the first person I'd recommend gearing for your groups, because your Phase 1 group in Jedi Training Rey is all ready to go, and this group could potentially be your highest damage in Phase 2, and with just some gear and 2 more stars on Sith Trooper, it's pretty much ready to go. So I would gear him. And then your next addition there in that group, I would recommend an Empire character, one that does decent damage, especially the more debuffs that are out there. That would be TIE Fighter Pilot, whom you have at gear 11 already. I'm sorry, gear 10. Ideally, this group would have a Sith Marauder, but you do not have him 7-star yet, and he is not free to play. So I would wait on that and just use TIE Fighter Pilot in the meantime, or Wampa if you have Wampa 7-star, which I don't see Wampa even unlocked. Yeah, so I would work with TIE Fighter Pilot in that group. A couple more ones that a lot of people use in Phase 2 are your Phoenix. Use Harrison Dula as your lead, Zeb, Ezra Bridger, Kanan Jarrus, and Sabine. The only bad thing about this group is that they do really need 2 different Zetas, one on Kanan Jarrus and one on Sabine, though Ezra Bridger also has a decent Zeta. So that group will require a lot more investment than the Darth Vader group I mentioned, though they might have a higher ceiling of damage. So it's really up to you. I'm kind of working on my personal strategy with these guys because I am nowhere near as geared even as you are. So that could be a little while. Another group that you have that could be mediocre as they stand right now with nothing else is First Order. I'm using Captain Phasma as your lead, Kylo Ren, First Order Stormtrooper, First Order TIE Pilot, and First Order Officer. Now, the ideal First Order group does include the 3 new First Order characters, Kylo Ren Unmasked, First Order Special Forces TIE Fighter Pilot, and First Order Executioner. However, you could get away with just gearing Kylo Ren unmasked, putting a Zeta on his lead, and replacing Phasma with Kylo Ren unmasked. That could be a good group, and this is a group that I am currently running and working on my own strategy video. So as soon as that strategy video is done, expect a card to appear here in this section that will take you right to the First Order strategy. And those are the 3 Phase 2 groups I think you could have with minimal gearing aside from Phoenix. And moving on to Phase 3. Phase 3, you really only need one team because they can do so much damage, and a lot of people can pull off a ton of damage in this phase. Now, my personal favorite is what I call the Blue Troopers. General Veers, Death Trooper, Snow Trooper, Colonel Stark, as well as Grand Admiral Thrawn. That's a group which you can check out this card here. Go to watch that video that I've done and look at the strategy. You already have a Zeta on General Veers, so you've got that done. I have personally the Zeta on Colonel Stark, so he kind of drives that turn meter a lot more than yours would without the Zeta, but they would still be a phenomenal group that could give you a minimum 5 million damage in the heroic Sith raid. Other people run the Chex Mix, which might actually end up being more damage for you because it does run some Rebels. It goes with a Commander Luke Skywalker lead, a Raid Han Solo, Death Trooper, Chirrut Imwe, and one guy which I'm almost positive you don't have geared, and that would be Pow. Pow fits into this group for his special that adds offense up. So really with that group, you want to kill the ads, put on Death Mark, get offense up on everybody, and then just go to town with Luke Skywalker and Raid Han on the group. So that's a blitz attack, but I don't think that does as much damage as the Imperial Troopers, though, because you have 3 of those already at gear 12, it might end up working better for you. You can try a couple different ones and let us know what works for you. Which basically leaves Phase 4. Now, Phase 4 is the kitchen sink mode where you just throw everything that's left at the raid. So if you have any of those groups left over that I already mentioned, you could use them. But the team that appears to be doing the most is the Night Sister team. Now, this team does use an Asajj Ventress Zeta lead, which you have, so you're good on that end right there. And I believe, though I am far from an expert on Night Sisters, I believe Mother Talzin, Night Sister Acolyte, Old Daka, and Talia would be your best options to go with that group. I could be mistaken. You might need to use Night Sister Zombie instead of Mother Talzin or Old Daka, but I'm not entirely sure. I've asked our resident expert Bernie Juan Ken Sanders in Legacy of Chaos, so once he gets an answer to me, I will go ahead and kind of post an edit in here for you, just so that you know which the best group would be there. Now, once your Night Sisters are done, you will be looking to fill out your roster and just throw everything that you've got left. And assuming that you use the Imperial Troopers in Phase 3, there will be 3 solid Rebel teams that you could use to try and just knock out some more damage on Darth Treya or whoever else is there to kill in the Sith raid at the end. I would maybe think Commander Luke Skywalker lead with Han Solo, Old Ben, Chirrut, and Baze Malbus. You could run a group with all of the rest of the Rogue One characters, being Jyn Erso, Cassian Andor, K2SO, Biston, and Bodhi Rook. You could run a Wedge, Biggs Darklighter, Akbar, Princess Leia, Scarab, Rebel Pathfinder group. And then you could throw it together whatever Sith you have left in a group. Really anything that you find that could be useful. So a lot of ideas for you there, Pshadow. Hopefully something clicks. You're able to get it going together, and you can check out those other videos that I've linked to kind of look at the strategy and how to mod those teams. Recap, you've got lots of good teams for this raid. My first recommendation for gearing would be Sith Trooper for Phase 2, and then possibly Sith Marauder to replace the TIE Fighter Pilot. Your Resistance could use another Zeta or 2 on BB-8, possibly needing another Zeta in your Phoenix and your First Order, and possibly even in your Imperial Troopers on Colonel Stark. So either way, there's a lot of ideas, kind of a lot of stuff for you to test out, try out, and then stuff for you to gear on and work on. So hopefully that's in the realm of what you were looking for. Hopefully that helps. And for anybody else watching, the roster here is definitely one you could aspire to. So definitely check it out, see what he's got, and take the advice as well. Use it how